Hey guys, today we're taking a look at my Shaddoll deck. Now Shaddolls are this deck type that are really focused on two things. They try to activate a lot of effects from the graveyard, they activate a lot of flip effects, they also try to bring out fusions and limit your opponent. They have a lot of kind of destruction and chaotic stuff they do. They really mess with your opponent. Most of their effects are basically trying to counter whatever your opponent's doing and limit what they can do. Definitely a very fun deck type to play and has a lot of interesting capabilities and a lot of different things you could do with it. The skeleton is seemingly pretty simple for now, but there are a lot of variants and I'll talk about that a little bit in the side deck. Just aside, I do really like the artwork on these cards. They're all based on like other cards, like I think Falcon is based on like one of the Gustos or things like that. So all the other cards are supposed to be like actual other cards, which is interesting, and you can kind of see that inspiration in the artwork, which is pretty cool in my opinion. But now getting right into the cards. So first off, we're running one Blackluster Soldier, obviously a dark heavy deck, but it does have some light additionally to do some plays, so I really like having BLS in this deck. One Effect Veiler, just helping us deal with effects, gives us additional synchro power as well. Kuribandit, really good for this deck, obviously allowing us to use our Shaddoll effects and also searching on spell and traps, which is very important for this deck because we want to activate our fusion cards. I've seen some people run this at 3. I'm kind of debating that, but I can definitely see the power of it because it can set up what you need to do very quickly. One Mathematician, just helping us send things to the graveyard and giving us some advantage, which is pretty nice for this deck. Rainbow Kuriboh, another card that kind of helps us out even if it gets sent to the graveyard. Another light monster that can support this deck well. So Sephylon, a really powerful card for this deck. Obviously a 4K beater, but it can also special summon Construct, which is really nice. It's not really hard to get out with how the Shaddolls work. And now getting into the Shaddolls themselves, most of their effects are just flipping, and they have additional effect if they get sent to the graveyard, which is very powerful. So Beast, obviously because it's a tribute, it's a little more annoying, but because of the advantage that we get from this card, I think it's very powerful to have in this deck. So I'm running it at 3. 2 Shaddoll Dragon, a beater that also can bounce things and destroy spell or traps, which is very powerful. Falco allowing you to special summon any Shaddoll, which is crazy because you can bring back the fusions and make really big plays. Additionally, a level 2 tuner, which gives us access to a huge variety of synchros. And we're running 3 Shaddoll Hedgehog. I do recommend running this at 3. It can search out anything for your Shaddolls, which is extremely strong. And then 2 Squamata, another beater that can also destroy monsters, which is very, very nice. And additionally, it has that power to send more things to the graveyard. For the spells, one of Allure of Darkness, obviously nice to have some additional draw power. 1 Dark Hole, 1 Foolish Burial, obvious in this deck. 2 Forbidden Lance, 3 Shaddoll Fusion, very powerful, allowing us to fuse but also use things from our deck, which is really nice if our opponent has a extra deck monster as well. So we can do some really powerful stuff with that, and it doesn't really matter, what our hand looks like when we have those big things going on. 2 Soul Charge, definitely powerful in this deck because of the ability to get things to the graveyard and reuse some of our stuff. 2 Super Poly, I really like this card for this deck, allowing us to make really powerful plays. Our opponent's going to usually have light or dark, so we'll be able to make really big plays with this. And now for the traps, 2 Breakthrough Skill, just helping us out, very nice in this deck type. Otherwise, some staple traps, but also 3 Sinister Shadow Games. I do recommend running this at 2 or 3, just a big advantage card, activating, Shaddoll effects and setting up our Shaddolls, which is really, really nice to do what we need to do. So now for the extra deck, we're going to be running 3 Construct and 3 Winda. Both very powerful against special summons. Construct is like a Catastor for special summons. Winda is like a limiting card, which is very, very nice. Also very nice that we can recycle our Shaddoll spells or traps, so we can resummon these guys over and over again. They are the attribute that they need for their own special summon, so you can reuse them to special summon themselves and use things from the graveyard, so we have a lot of big advantage there. For the synchros, we're going to have a good amount of variety. Catastor, Arcanite Magician, Black Rose, Goyo Guardian, very powerful. Leo, we can bring out Leo with like Falco and Construct really easily. Tempest Magician, I find, is a very powerful card to have for this deck because you can send things to the graveyard and it's not really a big deal. For the few XYZs, Castel, Exciton, and Silent Honor, not really like about what the deck is trying to do, but more about just their own power in general. So we have additional things we could do there. So now for the side deck, if you haven't seen a video of mine before, in the side deck I kind of go through recommended cards, other ideas for the deck, other things I've seen people run and just talk about them, just giving some people ideas, not meant to be a side deck for matches, just some, things I'm throwing out there. So AD Changer I can see being a very nice card for this deck, obvious also light. Armageddon Knight, just an alternative to Mathematician, you could see the advantages and disadvantages of both. I've seen some people run this with artifacts, not a big fan of that build in my opinion, but it's out there if you want to try that. You can run Black Dragon and White Dragon. Those can give you some advantage and set up the graveyard. One of the OCG cards, Electromagnetic Turtle. I can see this being a really good card for this deck. Light Swarms and Shade Owls work really well together, so you can do a variant there with Chaos and other things, and there's a lot of interesting stuff you could do there. There's also an OCG Shade Owl that's another monster for you, Shade Owl Hound, which is an interesting one, decent stats, allowing you to recycle Shade Owl cards, which is pretty nice, and you can change battle position, so maybe that will be run when it comes out. Curse of the Shadow Prison, the field card, just not important for this deck. It's just too slow, and you kind of need to set up a lot of things to make it work. Shaddoll Fusion will give us another fusion card that we can activate as a quick play, which is really, really nice. Instant Fusion, you can make a lot of plays with Instant Fusion. You could send Winda to the graveyard and bring it back and things like that, or use it for other plays. Shaddoll Core, I'm not a big fan of this card. You can run it at 1 if you want, but it's still not my really big favorite. There are a couple OCG L Shadowls. So E-Crystal uses fire monsters, which I'm not really sure if that's going to be run depending on what's going on. Shekinaga is another really interesting one. It used an Earth. You can run this with Mathematician, so there are some plays there, but I'm still debating those OCG cards, not taking too close of a look at them, but it's good to know they're out there, and when they do come out, we'll definitely have to consider them. There's a variety of other synchros you could run. You could run, if you are running Shaddoll Core, run Star Eater because you'll make 2 and 9 for Star Eater. And Moonlight Rose Dragon is another one that limits special summoning and what your opponent can do. So if that comes to TCG, I can see that being a powerful choice for this deck. So that's it for my Shaddoll deck. Again, just focused on really disrupting your opponent. Can be a very powerful deck type. It has some, big counters, but it still has a lot of really great power and has a lot of fun things it can do. And depending on what you want to put in to make the fusions work, there's a lot of options you can do. And I hope down the line there will be more creative builds that I can see from other people. And going along with that, if you guys do have any suggestions for me, any cards you want to see in my Shaddoll deck, maybe you're running something else, let me know in the comments. Just make those suggestions. I'll think about adding that to my deck. I really want to hear from you guys, just seeing what the other builds are like out there. But that's about it for me. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you later.